Hi there, I'm using Blender 2.79. I've been trying to find the very simplest way of doing texture painting, and I'm going to combine texture painting with coloring face by face on Suzanne the monkey head. I'm going to do all this in the Cycles render, which is of course vastly superior to the Blender render engine. I have the cube here, which I'm going to delete. Press the delete key, confirm, replace that with the monkey, i.e. Suzanne. And since I want to do texture painting, I might as well choose texture painting straight away. Here, texture paint. And I get some warnings up here which say I have an invitation here to add simple UVs, which I will choose, and in order to see what that's going to do, I'm going to split this window into two and change this window into a UV image editor. Then when I add my simple UVs for the monkey head, which is selected, you can see if I fit that to the window here that the faces of the monkey have been flattened, separated and flattened into this shape. We can recognize certain parts of the monkey here, eyes, face and so on. It's more easy to do that with this option that I just chose rather than the Smart Project option, which is somewhere else. We also have a warning that we're missing a material and an invitation to add a paint slot. The paint slots come from the material properties over here, and we can see that indeed slots area is empty, so I'm expecting a slot to appear when we choose to add a paint slot here. So I'm going to choose diffuse color. I think black is a terrible choice here because it hides the shape within the monkey head, so any color that black really would be good. I'm going to choose a dark brown. Maybe that dark brown right there would be good for a monkey. So I'll say OK to that. Notice the name, material 001 diffuse color. You can change that of course if you want to. So I have my slot now, and since I'm actually going to make multiple materials in multiple slots, I'm going to rename this one as texture. And I think I can already start painting on the monkey head, and as I do that I probably want my painting to be symmetrical along the x-axis, and we have that as an option here. Symmetry on the x-axis. You notice I'm not using a mirror modifier or anything. This is different. So I can go ahead, choose a color and start painting here. As I do start painting, you can see that we do have the symmetry, and you can also see that my painting has a soft edge, and you can see that if I zoom in, even though this looks like it's going to have a fixed radius for the lines that I'm drawing, 35 pixels, that's not actually right. It depends on how much I've zoomed in, because the line that I'm drawing now is obviously much thinner than the line that I drew the first time. And also you noticed if I zoom in even further, I'm trying to draw now lines, paint lines, and it doesn't work. So there's a limit to how much you can zoom in, but basically the further you zoom out, the thicker those lines are going to be. So this will be a very thick line right here. And you can change colors and so on. But I'm not going to spend too long on that, of course. I wanted to show how the painting here can be combined with face-by-face coloring, and I'd like to shrink this. In fact, the only reason we really need to have this open at all is firstly that it helps us to understand what's going on, because we can see these shapes. Actually, these are called islands, and we will need at some point to pack our image. That means make the image save or become part of the blend file when we save the file. If we don't do that, if we don't pack the image or save the image separately as a separate file, then the image that we're making here, the colors that I'm painting, they will be lost. And the other reason that this is open is that at some point we need to, because we don't have an image here really yet, so we need to at some point. Let's do it now. Let's say we want our colors to appear on this material. We need to fit this to this window, so let's choose View Fit, and we can see now how those colors are starting to appear. It's actually possible to also paint on this side if we choose the paint option, but with such a broken up unwrap, it's not very useful. If we had unwrapped manually and carefully, we'd have many fewer shapes, and it would possibly make sense to paint some things on this side. If you did want to paint on that side, then you would have to choose Paint instead of View, and then we can choose to paint here. I'm not quite sure where I'm painting. You can start to see some colors appearing there. Maybe put some colors around the eyes. The eyes we need to think about later, but you see it's possible to paint on this side also. Basically, I'm not too interested in that though. I'm more interested in the left side. It's easier to paint there. So I wanted to show you how we can combine these techniques with painting or coloring face by face. To do that, I will make another slot. My idea is to color the eyes, the mouth, the nose, and the inside of the ears with face by face coloring. So I'm going to make another slot here and a new material to go in there. I'll keep the white color and rename this white so I know what I'm doing. And the white color there, that's going to be for the eyes here. And I can do that then in edit mode to select those faces I'm interested in, pressing A to select nothing. If I do in face select mode, if I do alt click on this edge, alt right click I should say, that gives me a kind of ring of faces, and that ring actually is what I wanted to give the white color to. And also on the other side, the fact that I chose X symmetry earlier on, that doesn't give me the symmetry here as I do the face select, for example. So I will have to do this other side separately. So I'm doing Shift so that I can add to my selection, Alt and right click. Now I've selected all the faces that are supposed to have the white color, and I'm going to take that white color here and I'm going to assign that slot to the selected faces. And it's hard to see whether that was successful or not, and also it seems all the colors that I put on earlier have been lost. This is a kind of bug, you might say, in Cycles in version 2.79. Maybe it'll be fixed in version 2.8, but right now you can't see the colors that you perhaps expect to see here in solid view where we are. So if I switch to material view, that also doesn't show the colors that we expected, but I think we have actually assigned the white color here correctly. Why don't we see any colors anywhere else? It's because Blender doesn't know that this particular image is meant to be used to color the monkey head. It's because you might have several images here. We need to tell the computer that we want to use that particular image. So how do we do that? We go to the texture slot. We're going to tell the computer that that texture color is going to be an image texture, and the image texture we have to open a texture image or choose the image here. There's the name we're looking for. So we've got our colors back there. We also can see that the brown color is here, the white color is as expected. Now I'm going to make a black material, put that in a black slot. So make a new slot, make a new material, change it to black, label it as black. I'm going to choose the faces that need to be black, and there are quite a few of those really. So to select the pupils of the eyes, I could use, for example, circle select. Select nothing first. Do my circle select again. Circle select, click, that is left click. It adds to the previous selection. I don't need to hold down shift. So this is all going to become black, but also, oops, need to do escape to get out of the circle select. And I'd like to color this also black. And if I choose, if I'm in face select mode, because those surfaces there are not selected, if I'm in face select mode and I alt click on an edge here, we'll try to select a whole ring. Hold down shift to add to the selection, and then alt right click to add those surfaces, and the same thing on the other side, because I haven't done what I could have done, and that is remove half of Suzanne's head and put a mirror modifier in. I think that might have actually been quicker, but I'm trying to show you something new here. So shift alt right click on that edge. All these surfaces that I've selected need to become black, so I'm choosing the black slot and assigning that slot to those selected surfaces. And that's starting to look okay. I'll do the same for the nose. I'll do something similar for the mouth and the ears. I'll create a few more slots, a few more colors, and also I'll put a light brown ring around like the edge of the face here. Let's just do that one. New slot, new color. It's going to be light brown. So brown's around here. Light brown. That's the kind of color I had in mind for that. I'll give that a meaningful name. Light brown. And I wanted to apply that to this ring, which I should be able to select in face select mode by doing alt right click. That's the ring that I wanted to apply this light brown color to. So assign A to deselect, and we can start to see the colors being applied. We can, of course, at any time switch to rendered view to see what the final result might be, but as usual the lighting is much too dim. I don't know why the default lighting in Cycles is so dim. The solution for that probably is to go to object mode and I can go back to material view, look down from above. We can see we have our one lamp over here very far away. Let's put it closer. Let's put this one behind the monkey head, and we probably need to make it brighter. Turn on nodes for this lamp, increase the brightness of this one maybe to 400, and we probably want to duplicate that lamp, so I'm doing Shift D, putting another lamp over here. Let's make this the main lamp, so it's going to be bright. Let's say 4000, and we'll duplicate the lamp one more time. This is your classic lighting setup with 3 lamps, one behind, one main lamp, and one lamp here to fill in the shadows, which we will call the fill lamp then, and this one is going to be therefore dimmer, maybe 2000. Also the lamps, if we look from the front view, pressing 1 on the number pad and 5 for the orthogonal view, front orthogonal view, these lamps are all pretty high, too high really, so I'm going to select them, perhaps box select them, border select I should say. The 3 lamps are selected, nothing else is selected. I'm going to move them down much closer to the monkey head, and we can now see that the render should be brighter than before. The rendered view looks something like that. Maybe it's even a bit too bright. Let's make this lamp here a little less bright, 1000, and the main lamp must have been this one, which might as well rename it here. If you're going to rename a lamp or anything, don't forget to press enter, otherwise it doesn't do it. This we thought was a fill lamp. Don't forget to press enter, and we thought this one was the backlight. So the main lamp has a strength of 4000. I'm going to take that down to 2000. Okay, our rendered view now doesn't look too bad. We could also render by pressing F12, of course. Currently the camera sees this, not really the view that we want. Probably the best way to move the camera around is to open what I call the N panel, the panel that opens when you press N, and then if we choose lock camera to view, it makes it very easy, just navigating in the usual way, orbiting, panning, zooming. We can easily get the camera view that we want. It's important to turn lock camera to view off as soon as you place the camera, and then we can, for example, press F12 and get an idea of what the final result might be. Of course, I haven't really finished here. I'll do a bit more coloring and show you the final result for my coloring of Suzanne. But this is what we've got so far. Press F11 when you want to hide the render. Okay. Oh, and before I continue working, I should not forget at some point that I need to see the asterisk here. Means I have unsaved changes in this image, and I need to now I choose pack as PNG. Not really sure what the difference is between these two. Pack and PNG, the asterisk has gone away. You need to make sure you either pack the image into the blend file or save the image as a separate file, which is also possibility here. You do that if you wanted to continue working on the same image, for example in Photoshop or the GIMP for example. But I'm not planning to do that, so it's neater for me just to pack it into the blend file. But you must do that every time you make modifications. You mustn't save the blend file with unsaved or unpacked modifications to this image, otherwise they won't be saved in the blend file. I will continue working on my monkey then and get back to you when it's more or less finished. I also wanted to show you how you can paint lines that do not have soft edges like this, and that is you can go into the curves, kind of get an idea here of why that might represent a soft edge and why this kind of staple shape here might be something with a harder edge, which I think you can see here, the difference between the soft edge and the hard edge. So that's how to do that. I'm going to go back to the default choice, and I haven't specifically shown you how to change the size of the line here. We know we can do it by zooming in and out, but you can also do it here, of course. 1 is too small, 50 would be too big, maybe 16 is useful. I'm painting around the nose right now. I'm not painting the nose because I'm going to color that perfectly black in a few moments in the same way that I colored the eyes, selecting faces and applying the black color here. But I wanted to show you that as I paint here, I don't have to worry about spoiling this light brown color, because if I go over that, it's not affected, because don't forget we colored these faces by applying that slot to them, not the texture slot but the light brown slot, and because the texture slot is not applied to these faces, I can't texture paint over these faces right here. So I've just discovered something new as I select the inside of the left ear of the monkey. I noticed I have the option here in the select menu. Once I have applied the white color, let's apply the white color to the inside of the ears. I can easily select the corresponding faces on the other side by choosing Select, Mirror. That mirrored about the x-axis, of course, and that makes it very easy for me to apply the same slot, assign the same slot on the other side. As I said earlier, the symmetry could be achieved by using a mirror modifier. Remove half the monkey head, apply a mirror modifier, and that would perhaps be the normal way of doing it. I'll probably stop the video here. You can see I've got the essential idea, and the rendered view would be something, well, let's do F12 and see it. Before I save this, I must remember, of course, what I said earlier, and that is that because I've made many changes to my image, see the asterisk here tells me that, I mustn't forget before I save the blend file to repack this image into the blend file before I save the blend file.